You should see something saying it's going to YouTube.
Yep. I will
Okay.
click OK.
Oh, good. Yeah. Please accept.
Yeah.
Um, so, what was I gonna say? Yeah. So I was kind of okay with the audience. Pardon me. I'm just looking at this as it pops up here. Good. Okay. Good. Um, I was okay with the most recent article I had and the
Right.
videos that I posted, being like, wait, was that act? Did his daughter actually meet Taylor Swift? I was okay with like
Right.
people thought that and clicked through for a few minutes.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
Also, because it gives her name is Olivia Clare, the impersonator. It gives her some exposure
Yeah.
as well because she was
Yeah.
fantastic.
She looked
Um,
great.
yeah, she looks great. She's been very responsive and reactive to things I've posted. She's very generous with
Cool.
that, which is really cool. So,
Cool.
it turned out to be a great day. It just
Good.
theme park wise, not the most accessible situation we've dealt with, but
Sure. Sure.
we'll go back probably. Um,
Good.
so anyway, hi, welcome everybody. Welcome back to Everyday Love. I'm joined for the 10th time, ladies and gentlemen,
Woohoo.
by Katie DeBonville, author, arts administrator, musician, all kinds of wonderful things. Um, Katie, thank you for hopping on today. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Um, I wanted to have you on today to talk about. So you have been part of a long series on this show,
Yep.
from when you had your memoirs sort of in a form that was publishable, all the way through to getting published, which I
Yep.
think tomorrow will be 4 months
Yeah. Which
since
I'm
your
not
book.
sure I would have realized if you hadn't pointed it out to me. So,
Okay. Um, yeah, so it's my job to keep track of little things that no one else really cares about, except for you, probably.
right.
Um,
Right.
um, so so it was you came on the show 4 months and one day ago on
Yep.
May 15th was the last time you were here. And
Yeah.
I intentionally sort of wanted there to be some breathing room because you came on fairly regularly before then, I would say every month-ish or so,
Yeah.
to talk about the process of having of publishing a book.
Right. Right.
Um, and I sort of wanted there to be some breathing room for you to live the life of I'm published now, I'm I'm getting it out there now and all this, but I'm still living my life. I still have the
Yeah.
same life. So my question to you is, what has been the journey since in these months since launching the book?
Yeah. That's a good question. It's definitely a journey in progress, which makes me feel like a contestant on The Bachelor because they're told to use the word journey
Oh,
throughout the
really?
whole. Yeah, right. I
Okay.
know. So anyway,
Wow.
um, it's been interesting in multiple ways. It's been good. I'll start by saying it's been good. Response has been really positive. Um, I have one of my good friends from college operates an online slash mobile bookstore, The Perfect Page in Fairfield, Connecticut. Shameless plug. Um, but whenever I've had people say to me, oh, where can I order it online? I've sort of pushed them towards her because I have a love hate relationship with that which must not be named, but,
Yes.
but sells books online.
Yes.
Anyway, so it's been fun to both, like, she's most of the people that we know in common, but also a lot of people that I know who don't know her have gone to her to buy the book. And so I am the top seller at The Perfect Page in Fairfield,
Oh,
Connecticut,
fantastic.
which is really cool. If you had told me that I'd be a bestseller anywhere, I'm not sure I would have believed it, but I will take my bestseller status wherever
Oh,
I can get it.
you can say
Um,
bestseller Katie DeVonville. You don't have to put any
right,
other
exactly.
descriptors on there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's been interesting is that yeah, I had three milestones in rapid succession. I changed jobs in February. I published the book in May, and I moved out of my apartment that I was in for 19 years in June to a completely different location. So in the past, when I've moved, it's been from one neighborhood of Boston to another. Now I'm in Beverly, so it's it. I went from like having not a lot of milestones for a number of years to suddenly having three in rapid succession. And it's been a balancing act.
Yeah.
I went from a job where I worked mostly remotely to a job where I'm now in the office every day, which I love. I actually prefer being in the office. I'm distracted by shiny things in my own apartment. And the shiny things that are in my office are things that probably I should be paying attention to. So it's good to be in an office. It's great to be surrounded by colleagues. Um, but it's a switch. And for the first several months of the new job, I was commuting from Boston to Rockport, where I work, which is an hour on the train. Which, when I first started it, it was like, oh, I can do that for 6 months. That's easy. And 2 months into it, I basically said, to hell with this, I'm moving. Which was the plan anyway. It just happened sooner than I thought it would. So that's been good. But as a result of having both the new job and the new place, I haven't had as much time to really focus on getting the book out there as much as I would have liked. I had a fantastic launch. I launched on May 28th at Porter Square Books in Cambridge. And I had people from all aspects of my life there. And it was really cool to see like my music history professor from graduate school sitting a few rows in front of my band director from college. It was just, worlds were colliding, but in a super cool way. And that was a lot of fun. And the store sold out of the book that night. So that was really
Nice.
cool. So that was, the launch was, there was so much anticipation leading up to it. And then it happened and it was amazing. And then it was just like, okay, what do I do now?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so I'm in the figuring out what do I do now phase.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm familiar
Yeah.
I had in 2024, I combined, talking about milestones, I combined my 50th birthday celebration with the launch of my book. And
Oh, wow.
I rented out Town Hall in Exeter,
Yeah.
here where we live, and which is a wonderful old space. And people from all aspects of my life that I hadn't seen for decades or whatever were there.
Yeah.
Family, friend, people flew in, people drove in, people did crazy things,
Yeah.
and it was amazing. And yeah, that happened, and then, and then fast forward, and I started the Substack and the show all as part of the book and the
Right.
book's life and the book's legacy, and an open mic night here in Exeter and all this stuff. It has birthed a number of things, which is great,
Yeah.
but the book itself has remained kind of sitting on shelves or sitting in warehouses or wherever it is it sits.
Right.
To the point of this fall, I'm going to launch the belated book tour, which is me doing virtual stuff, me doing in-person stuff, and all of that. I'm beginning to sort of figure that out now.
Yeah.
But that's to sort of focus on the core item itself,
Yeah.
and all of that. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that journey progresses there. So, what I know that your job particularly is a busy job.
Yeah.
You are, before we came on, you were telling me about this enormous music festival that you were not in charge of, but you're the head of fundraising for this music organization, and so that's a key component of any kind of a huge festival like this. What was that like in terms of how much it subsumed your life?
Well, it was funny. So I started the new job in mid-February, which was roughly 2.5, 3 months before the festival started. And the festival, we had some concerts between, when I started and when the festival started. But the festival is basically, it's a 5-week chamber music festival. It went from June 12th to July 12th. And in the lead into June 12th, between February 17th when I started and June 12th, people kept saying to me, oh, wait till the festival. You won't know what this place is really like until you've experienced the festival. Mm-hmm. And they were right. I mean, it was, I have worked in the arts for 30 years. I've done galas. I've done, I worked for an organization that at one point was doing 50 some performances a year. So I'm certainly familiar with the busyness of going from concert to concert. But this was, we'd have something at 11 o'clock in the morning. We'd have something at 3 o'clock. We'd have something at 7 o'clock. We'd have a donor reception. We'd have a donor who sponsored a performance. So we'd have a meet and greet. And then it all ended with our gala on a Friday evening. And most people sit down and relax after the gala, except we had an all-day community event the day after the gala, which was amazing. But it was just like 3 days of, and so now the conversations I'm having, you know, the people who said to me, "Oh, you wait until the festival," are now saying to me, "So you've lived through your first festival. What do you think?" And it is cliche to say that it's everything I thought it would be and more, but it is everything I thought it would be and more. I had prepared myself for it to be busy, and it was. But there are always the things that come up that you don't even think about. And this is true in the case of, you know, publishing a book as well. You know, it's life. Things things pop up and you think, oh, it never occurred to me that that would happen. And you deal with it and then you move on. But there was a lot of really good music in those 5 weeks. And we've still got stuff, you know. Tonight we have the guy who did the soundtrack for Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, which is one of my favorite movies. And I'm like,
Okay,
all he has to do is sing I Am a Man of Constant Sorrow, and my day will have been, there will have been purpose to my day.
I hear you. Is that T-Bone Burnett? Is that who is going to be there?
It's Dan Taminsky.
Okay, he's the other. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, fantastic! Wow.
yeah,
Okay, so I asked that just to point out the kind of work that you do in your day job, and this is
yeah,
an extreme example, but this occurred in the midst of
yeah,
in the same sort of general time frame as the book launch, and when a full-time author, you know, someone with a public, someone who is, you know, on a in a different sort of space than you or I are in,
right.
would be taking that time running around touring,
Exactly.
promoting, going on
Yep.
radio, whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
Um, so for people like us who are in sort of a different place where we're balancing a real life, you know, a real world sort of situation, um, what are your ambitions for the book
Yep.
going forward, considering your daily obligations?
I'm kind of re-kickstarting the process of reaching out to bookstores
Mhm.
and places. You know, now that I know what my schedule is like, and now I know what a now I know what festival period looks like
Mhm.
versus concerts in the post festival period. It's much easier for me to reach out to a bookstore and say, you know, okay, I could do something on this date or this date. So I'm really taking the time now. I really just kind of kickstarted it again last weekend, just sitting down and thinking, okay, where are places that I could take this? So that's where I am now. I've got the list and I'm doing the outreach. You know, I'm hoping that I'm going to reach out to Bucknell, which is where I went undergrad, because I actually have a couple of classmates who have also published books this year. And I think it would be fun if the three of us who all published something this year could do like a panel discussion during homecoming or something
That's
like
nice.
that. So that's on my list of outreach. You know, it's uh, there's a bookstore in town here in Rockport where which has been carrying the book. And in fact, I went in. I had some time to kill before a concert last weekend, so I went into the bookstore, and my book. The last time I'd been in, he'd sold out of the book, which is always nice. I remember him. The owner of the bookstore took me over to where it usually was and said, "Oh, it's not here. I must have sold out. Well, I'll get more." And he puts me on the music shelf. So he told me, "You're usually next to Prince," like, which is something I had never heard before.
Wow. You're usually
um,
next to Prince.
right. So I stopped in the store last weekend because I had some time to kill between concerts, and he'd reordered the book. So I took a picture of the book on the shelf, and that was kind of the first time I'd seen the book in a bookstore aside from my launch.
Mhm.
So that was a lot of fun. Um, One of my best friends from college works in the library at Bucknell, and he sent me a picture of the requisition form that he filled out when he asked the librarian to order the book because they like to have alumni and faculty books in the library. And so when he showed me that the book had arrived, he was getting ready to do. I wasn't there for reunion. It wasn't a reunion year for me, but he was getting ready to do a reunion alumni book display, and so he was going to add my book to it. And Philip Roth was a Bucknell alum, so I said to my friend, if you could, it doesn't have to stay there, but if you could put the book on the shelf next to Philip Roth and take a picture of it, just so I have proof that at one point in my life I was on the same shelf as Philip Roth, that would be really cool. So he sent me a picture of my book. I can't remember if it was next to, it was either American Pastoral or The Plot Against America. But I do have a picture of my book on a Bucknell bookshelf next to Philip Roth.
Fantastic. My book, I in our local bookstore, Water Street Books here, I made it clear that I would really prefer it be on the memoir shelf
Yeah,
as opposed to the poetry shelf.
yeah,
And I have gotten in trouble for saying things from poets a couple times. I don't. I consider myself a poet, but also not a poet. A
right,
memoirist is really what I consider myself.
yeah,
And you know, the poetry shelf has a different location in the store and a different reputation in any store than the
yep,
memoir shelf does. So
yeah.
sorry, but I'm gonna try and um, but I have a picture of me being next to Trevor Noah, and I
Nice.
was like, I don't mind that. That's fine. And I was
No,
kind of
that's
like,
okay.
it was very similar because I said to uh, the owner, I said, it doesn't have to stay there. I was just like,
Right, right.
obviously move it around the way you move it around, but as long as it could stay next to Trevor Noah, that's wonderful. I'd
Yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah. I would love to. So mine actually, the book has the words, a musical memoir on the
Yeah.
cover. But when I
Oh,
wrote it, I thought of it as a collection of essays.
yeah.
So if I were to ever end up on a shelf next to, David Sedaris or Anne Patchett,
Right, right.
I'd be happy with that.
Yeah,
I
it's good.
could make that work.
That's good company all around. Yeah, it's nice.
Right. Yeah.
I remember you telling me that like opening for David Sedaris was something you would very much enjoy at some point if that were possible.
I hesitate to say that I would kill to open for David Sedaris, but
But
I would kill to open for David Sedaris. Now, what I would kill remains to be seen. Would I kill a
right,
spider to open for David Sedaris?
right,
Absolutely. Would I kill a good friend? Probably not.
somewhere in
Um,
between.
right. Somewhere between spider and good
And
friend,
best
I
friend.
would kill to open for David Sedaris.
Very nice. Oh my gosh.
So, Mr. Sedaris, if you're watching,
If
hi.
you're watching, I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is.
Yeah,
He's a
right.
big fan. Hi, David. Nice to see
It's
you.
funny that I was actually at a book signing shortly after I graduated from Leslie because I'm friends with a wonderful author named Cindy House, and I've gotten to know her. She graduated from Leslie before I did, but in my last semester there, she did a, um, a seminar on humor writing, and I took it, and it was wonderful. And she and I've been friends ever since. But she has opened for David Sedaris, and she knows him
Oh,
well.
oh wow.
So the last time that I was at a reading that the two of them did together, David Sedaris said, if you've bought Cindy's book, then you can cut in line because, he really wanted her to get the attention.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
So I had already bought Cindy's book. So I had it with me and I got, so I was at the front of the line and she introduced me to him and said, Katie graduated from the same program at Leslie that I did a few years later. And so I've been to enough book signings with him to know that he actually tries to do something creative whenever he signs. It's not just his name.
Yeah, yeah.
So he wrote something in mine, and I walked out of the bookstore and I looked at it and said, to Katie, we're all so proud of you, David Sedaris.
That's very funny.
So
You can hear,
if nothing else, I have it in writing that for a fleeting moment, David Sedaris was proud of me.
oh my God. That's fantastic.
But read Cindy's book. It's called Mother Noise, and it's outstanding. It's
Mother
about,
Noise. Okay.
it's about being a single mom, and it's about, being a woman during COVID, and it's about life as an artist. And she's an outstanding writer.
hmm That's great. I've asked you this, before, and like, the logical next question people ask and they ask me is, what's next? What are you writing next?
The
Are you
dreaded
writing?
"What are you working on?"
Exactly,
question.
exactly. So, how's that going?
These days, I'm working on writing regularly,
Okay, that's
and
good.
that's because the good thing about commuting from Boston was that I had an hour on the train.
hmm
And that gave me, like, I did use a lot of that time to write. I have discovered that I am much less likely to write on a half-hour commute than I am on an hour commute.
Mm.
So finding the time to sit down and just really do some focused writing is where I'm at right now, and I'm settling for unfocused writing. I'm. It's funny. I was talking to a friend of mine about just something that I found challenging, and I don't even remember what it was, but I said something like, I don't know why I'm finding this so challenging when this is something I've done before. And he wrote back and said, give yourself some grace. You've got three new things going on in your life. You've had a lot of change, cut yourself some slack. And I wrote back and I was like, ironic that the author of a book titled Grace Notes has a hard time giving herself some grace. But I I think we can be our own worst enemies.
Oh yeah.
And I have learned, Leslie taught me that it's okay to skip a few days, to not write, to skip a few weeks, to write something that's crap, to have the only thing you've written be, I'm writing this because I've been told I should write something every day, but this is all I'm going to write today. And I've done that.
Mm-hmm.
I have some ideas for what I'd like to do next. I'm finding that a lot of what I do write these days, when it's actually something that takes shape, it seems to be focused on the idea of space, like space that we take up, space that we inhabit, space that we live in, space that we shrink ourselves to fit into. And so I'm kind of playing with that and seeing where it goes. And when I wrote Grace Notes, it was not my intention to have music be the through line, but that's what unfolded organically. So I'm wondering if this is what's going to unfold organically in the next set. And so I'm going to take it and see where it goes, and maybe it goes somewhere and maybe it goes nowhere.
Yeah. Is there something specific recently that you can think of that is an example of this thought of taking up space is popping in your head?
Mm, it's actually gone back for a few years. And it's, I'd written, I realized this in the same way that I realized that Grace Notes had a musical through line, or that what became Grace Notes had a musical through line. I'd written a few things, and then I sat back and took a look at, I've written this recently, I've written that recently. That's about, ceding space to a friend. And that's about, moving from one space to another. And that's about, a house that meant, my grandmother's house, which meant a lot to me when I was a kid. So I found that it was just something that I was going back to unconsciously. And so now I'm seeing, all right, let's try to consciously go back to it and see what happens.
Great. Well, I'm excited to see what happens, wherever that is.
You and me both.
Exactly. How is life in your new place?
I love it. I love having 2 closets. I highly
Okay.
recommend it.
Okay. Good.
It's it's little things like this. Actual space wise, it's probably only about 70 square feet larger. But that 70 square feet makes a difference.
Okay.
I have a full sized refrigerator, which I didn't have. I had a decent sized refrigerator in the last place, but it wasn't full sized.
Mm-hmm.
I have, before I was in a ground level apartment, so I had windows, but they had bars over them, and I really couldn't ever open them up. And now I'm on a 5th floor, so I get daylight, at actual daylight, which is, the sun streams in when it rises in the morning, which is kind of cool. And I'm doing well at keeping it neat, although I shudder to say that out loud, because the minute I say that out loud, I decide that it's okay for my chair, which is now a sitting chair, but in my previous apartment was essentially a glorified clothes rack.
Laundry chair.
Will it go back to being a glorified clothes rack? So what I'm enjoying is I'm a 2-minute walk from the train station. So that hour on the train when I was commuting in from Boston, yes, it was an hour on the commuter train, but I also had to leave at least a half an hour early to take the green or the orange line to North Station to get on the commuter train. And the green and orange lines have varying degrees of reliability. Yeah.
At best. This
At
should
best.
be the MBTA symbol in general.
Right.
It should be a
I
guy
know.
doing this. Yeah.
Well, I always laugh at the fact that, the MBTA has their Charlie card, which comes from the Kingston Trio's song, Charlie
the
and
dude
the
who couldn't
MTA,
get off the train.
which is about a man who basically could not get off the train. I remember when they did that, and they thought they were, I felt like somebody at the MBTA thought they were being so clever. And I just remember thinking, have you ever listened to that song? It's, might not be the message you want to send.
I've never thought of that. I mean, I know the song.
Yeah.
And I know the name, and I use Charlie cards all over my time. I never connected
He
to
never
that.
returned.
How funny
He
that
never
is.
returned, and his fate
His
is
fate is
still
still unknown.
unlearned.
Yep.
Right?
He
Is
might
that
ride
really the
forever beneath
message?
the streets of Boston.
Yeah, he's the
Still
man
there.
who never returned.
In fact, I wrote a short play about him one time, about the fact
Too.
that I wrote a short play because in the song there's a lyric of every time he comes around, his wife is there and passes him a sandwich. One of the lyrics is that his wife is there and gives him a sandwich when he's going around. And
Right.
my thing was, okay, why couldn't she pass him like a quarter or a nickel or whatever it was? And my thought was, oh, she got rid of him. That's it. Like
Yeah.
she's just, oh, thank God, I don't have to divorce him or get rid of him. That's been
Right.
taken care of. I'll just give him a
We'll just put him
sandwich.
on the tee and you'll never
Yeah.
see him again.
And the play is that a guy like me, with just some guy, is riding the train and bumps into Charlie.
Oh,
And
wow.
Charlie's describing us, and he's like, "Oh my God, this you're Charlie from the Emmys? Yeah, I'm the guy from the song." And basically Charlie just sort of reveals how sad his existence is because of why he's on the train and why,
Yeah.
and all this. So that was that was my window into
I
that
love that.
years ago. I probably got it somewhere. I don't know where it is, but
Yeah, you need to find that. That's really
I'll
cool.
I'll publish. Maybe I'll put it on the Substack at some point if I find it.
Right, right.
Anyway,
Yeah. So, one of the great things about the new place and the new neighborhood is that I'm literally a 2-minute walk from the commuter rail. So I can leave my apartment 5 minutes before the train gets there, theoretically. I haven't yet because I have this thing where I have to give myself more time. Like leaving for 5 minutes early, even though I know I'd probably make it, I would still
yeah,
feel like I was running late.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but I discovered coming home when now I get home at 6:30 instead of 7:30.
Hmm.
And on Mondays there is a farmer's market in the park across from my apartment that goes until 8 o'clock.
Oh,
And so I get off the train, I walk through the farmer's market, I pick up some vegetables, I buy some bread, I get some coffee. And that's been little things like that I wasn't expecting that have become these rituals. I've walked to the beach a few times. There's a fitness center in the building, so I was able to get rid of my gym membership. But I've still kept my personal trainer because she's awesome and she's cheaper than therapy. Um,
I was gonna say, can't let that go when you find someone.
right, I know. So I've been working out with her. I've gone from working out with her in person once a week to working out with her virtually 3 times a month, and then going into Boston for the fourth workout and working out with
Okay.
her in
Oh,
person.
nice.
And my mother said to me when I told her I was moving, she was like, you're going to miss the city, and it's not like I can't get back into the city. It is very easy to get from Beverly into Boston, especially if you're taking a train.
Hmm.
So it's
I
been
was just
good.
gonna I was just gonna ask that, which is what do you miss about either the place you used to live or the neighborhood you used to live in or
Yeah.
any of that?
I mean, I loved being in the South End. Um, and I loved that apartment. I mean, that apartment was home for
Mhm.
19 years. And, it takes time for a new place to feel like home. But the new place does feel like home. And I like having more space. And I like that, I bought a rug. Um, I like that on the fifth floor, I have yet to see any kind of a bug. Whereas on a ground level in Boston,
Uh,
they were, not a regular occurrence, but 31 years in the city, let's just say I no longer cringe when I see a large bug. Um, that is the bug that I would kill to open for
yeah, yes.
Davidson
To
Terrace. And
to
we've come
tie it
full
back.
circle.
Yes. Oh, awesome. Perfect.
Right. But no, it's I wouldn't, I wouldn't say there's a lot I miss about Boston because it's close enough that I can go back. Like I'm going to the ART with a friend of mine on Sunday.
Oh,
We're going to see Rhinoceros,
mm.
um, because it's got John Turturro and Paul Giamatti, and
Why,
the opportunity to see both of them on stage at the same time is one that either one of us wanted to pass up.
why would you miss that? That's awesome.
Right.
Oh, cool. Cool.
Which, yeah, so there, yeah, it's different, but it's good. It's where I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be.
Good. Oh, well, that's the key right there. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's really
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
As we wrap up, I'll ask what I always ask, which is we talk about using creativity to navigate challenging times, and
Yep.
we've talked about this a lot. But at present, Katie, how are you using creativity to navigate the times we live in?
I think just knowing that I can sit down and write whenever there's something that's, vexing or stuck in my head or driving me nuts. Um, you'll appreciate this, sort of. Yeah, we had a conversation 2 shows ago, maybe, about Mitch McConnell.
Mm-hmm.
And
Still
I
kicking.
fell asleep on the couch one night, which I do occasionally. And in my new place, I have CNN. So I fell asleep with CNN on. And when I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, the first thing I heard was that Lindsey Graham had died. And I thought to myself, okay, I heard that, but I must still, on some level, be asleep because surely they meant Mitch McConnell and not Lindsey Graham.
Mm-hmm.
And then I woke up and discovered that, in fact, Lindsey Graham had died and not Mitch McConnell. So that was interesting, and it was, I haven't done anything particularly creative with that, but
Yeah, yeah,
it's just another. I've passed the point where I think I've heard it all
yeah.
because I realized that this administration knows no bounds. I mean, I watched something yesterday where they did a show of like monuments that the current president is proposing and things that have been covered in gold and just ugh, tacky beyond belief. And there's probably something that I will write about at some point in there.
Mm-hmm.
I may do a farewell poem to Caroline Levitt,
Well,
New
farewell for you.
Hampshire's finest.
Farewell for you. She's coming home here. So,
Yeah, exactly.
Caroline, if you're watching, you don't need to. It's you
You,
can.
don't,
No,
you
come on
go
the
do your
show.
thing. Yeah,
I don't think
yeah.
so. Uh, well, remind people, if you would, where they can find your book and your writings.
Sure. I'm on Substack. I think it's at KD Bonville, and I should probably confirm that.
I think you're right.
And it's not K DeBonville, it's KD Bonville, because my college nickname was Bonville.
Right.
Because my college roommate was also a Katie, and heaven forbid that there be two Katies in the same room.
Yeah.
Although I responded quite willingly to Bonville and still do. So you can find me on Substack. You can find me on Facebook. You can find my book at theperfectpage dot, I think it's a .com. You can find me on Amazon. I am told that Porter Square Books will still order me if they don't have it. So
Good.
I'm out there. And you can
Good.
always find it too at Sibylline Press,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
which is my publisher.
Nice. Nice.
So
Well, Katie DeBonville, author, musician, fundraiser,
and
uh,
10-time guest.
10-time guest. We needed like a name. I don't know what that would be. But something, some special denomination of that. But
I'll come up
um,
with something and let you know.
yes. Thank you again, as always, for gracing us with
You're
your
welcome.
presence.
Thank
And
you.
we'll see you again.
Looking forward to it.
Take care.
Bye
Thanks.
bye.
Bye.